Good afternoon, everyone. Extreme apologies for the delay. A very warm welcome to all our esteemed participants, faculty members, and guests to day one of this 5-day faculty development program hosted at the Regional College of Management, Bhubaneswar. I have the privilege of moderating this morning's session, and it gives me a great pleasure to begin by introducing this institution that has brought us all together today. The Regional College of Management, popularly known as RCM, holds the distinction of being the first management institution established in the region way back in 1982. Over decades, RCM has built a formidable reputation, being acknowledged as the best Eastern School of Management, and in recognition of its excellence, RCM has been conferred the prestigious 17th and 18th Devang Mehta Business School Award, and many more. So, without further ado, let me introduce the first resource person of the day, Dr. Sanghamitra Pal, Director RGPS. It is my time to welcome the first resource person for today's session, Dr. Sanghamitra Pal, who is a distinguished leadership coach and director of RCM Global B School with an extensive experience in faculty development and management training, a certified purpose coach with professional certifications from institutions such as XLRI, the University of Cambridge, and Dale Carnegie. She has trained over 10,000 students and conducted numerous FDPs and MDPs. Her expertise spans leadership, communication, decision making, team building, and high impact presentations. We are delighted to welcome her as the resource person for today's session.
जद पत्थर रांझा पिघलेगा तद मैं कमली कहलावांगी.
Good afternoon, my dear faculty members. By any chance, if you're thinking that you were enjoying watching Katrina Kaif कमली डांस एंड ये कटरीना से संघमित्रा पाल कहाँ से बीच में आ गई यार. सो आई एम going to promise all of you that I'll not let you down and show you the Kamli video surely once again very soon. But I'm so happy today that all of you are here on an afternoon when half of the people in the world are napping, sleeping, and lazing in the chair. But you're all here to learn. But I'm not here to teach because you're all experts in your field. And maybe you're doing it better than me. But what I'm here today is I'm here to share some perspective on the topic mastering the communication in the classroom for the scroll generation. And I'll help you see it from a new light. Yes. So are we ready? Are we ready? Let's get ready and let's go. Okay. So before we begin, quick 3 things for all of you. One is just grab a pen and paper. Just keep a paper and pen ready with you. You might have to write few things. So quickly grab a paper and pen. Yes. And ask your friends and colleagues around you not to disturb you for the next at least half an hour. Not to disturb you. It is going to be a very life-changing session. I promise. And if it is not, at least sir आधे पैसे तो हम वापस कर देंगे. 150 rupees return today itself. Okay. And yes, third thing, I'll take all FAQs at the end. Surely there'll be some time, lot of time for taking FAQs. I'm going to answer each and every question, and I promise that. Okay, so let's begin. I'm going to begin by asking a question, and that is, who's the biggest competitor for Netflix? So you can use the chat and write in the chat box, who's the biggest competitor for Netflix? Okay. Bhubaneswar, can I see the chat and should I be? Yeah. Amazon Prime and okay, YouTube also, Geo Hotstar. Yes. Okay. We all know that the biggest competitor, we all believe that it is Amazon Prime or Disney or whatever. But then let me tell you that the biggest competitor for Netflix is sleep. अगर आप सो गए तो नेटफ्लिक्स का काम नहीं हुआ और अगर नेटफ्लिक्स आपको उठाए रखती है that means it is doing its job very well. And today, all the social media handles, be it Instagram or be it any other handle, be it all influencers, they're trying to grab your attention because attention has become equivalent to money. So the game is of Goa. Yes, can you all see? The game is of Goa. ये वो गोवा नहीं है, गोवा वाले बीच में वो गोवा नहीं है. This Goa is game of attention. Yes, my dear faculty members, game of attention. If you can grab attention, the money is yours. And if everybody is trying to grab attention, हम क्यों पीछे रह जाए? Why should we not do it? So let's understand the game. Let's understand techniques to grab attention in the classroom and let's master it. Before we do that, I'm going to give you very powerful techniques today. And before we do that, I'm going to tell you what not to do. Okay, so very soon I'll tell you what to do. But before that, I'll tell you what not to do. And there'll also be a question. आपके स्क्रीन पे आने वाला है 1000 रुपए के लिए. ये सवाल देवी और सज्जनों बहुत ही जल्द पूछने वाले हैं हम 1000 रुपए के लिए सवाल. So stay very attentive. Okay. So let's understand the first don'ts, and then I'm going to ask you a question. And whosoever answers it well, RCM will send somebody to give you that money, or maybe use PhonePe to pay it, but do whatever, but help this 1,000 rupees reach that candidate, okay, that faculty. Okay, so let's understand the don'ts. So few don'ts, not many. First is that what if the pilot, pilot की मुझे hat मिली नहीं आज. What if the pilot entered, you're about to board the flight and you see that the pilot has broken its hand, has broken the hand and खांस रहा and टोपीटा पूरा तौड़े पड़ रही थी, पूरा नीचे है उसकी हैट भी and पूरा बहुत मुश्किल से चल के जा रहा है. I would run away from this flight. I said, मुझे नहीं जाना है भैया, भागो, मुझे बचाओ. I'm not going to enter a flight where the pilot looks like this. You've seen how pilots enter. They enter with full energy. The hats are crisply. They wear their hats crisply. They're full brimming with energy. They walk fast. And the pilot को देख के लगता है कि आज ये weather खराब होने से भी ये plane उड़ा लेगा. Same is for all the soldiers. What if the soldier, आज देखते हैं हम शायद कंट्री को जिता देंगे, देखते हैं हम कोशिश करेंगे, आपको आश्वासन तो नहीं दे पा रहे. What if that was the case? No, you see soldiers lifting so many heavy things and marching so beautifully on the borders, and you see कि ये हमारे देश की रक्षा करके आएगा. So that's the confidence that we get when we see them walking very nicely. So the first don't is, don't enter the class. I'm going to share the don'ts. Don't enter the classroom with your chin down, shoulders falling here. Lazy energy, little lazy energy, like you open the door very nicely, chin is little down, you're looking at the floor. Do not do that. You enter with good energy, you transfer that energy to the candidates, to the students, and that is how we say energy is contagious. So energy को वो पकड़ते हैं, आपकी energy को वो catch करते हैं. Okay, so that was the first one. और उनको don't बता देते, मैंने do's भी बता दिया उसमें. How are you supposed to enter? So you're supposed to enter with shoulders thrown back, chin up, eyes never looking down at the floor. The first rule is you enter and your eyes have to be on the students, on the audience. You enter with eye contact. Okay, so that's the first rule. Okay. Second, Second, I love the second one. Okay, so and I have a picture for this. How many of you have seen faculties? हमारे टाइम में मास्टर बड़ा हे था थिले teachers were there who came into the classroom and stood like this for 1 minute silence till everybody maintains silence and sits down. Did you feel like going and hugging that faculty and saying teacher and saying wow you look so wonderful? It was always fear that was created by maintaining silence, and that is how they generated attention. But that attention does not last long. It's for 1 minute that everybody settles, the class settles down. But that's not a great technique. You look like a scarecrow. Scarecrow दिखचंती समझते. You've seen a scarecrow. Scarecrow ऐसे खड़ा होता है in the class in full silence and statue. And that's not a great way to start the class. Okay, so do not start the class by the age-old techniques that our faculty members used and our teachers used in school by standing still for 1 minute and waiting for people to be silent. That's a obsolete technique. Okay, it's second technique that you're not supposed to do. Third is my ultimate favorite. Okay, third is my ultimate favorite, and listen to this very carefully. The third one is do not enter the classroom and you say good morning or good afternoon, whatever, and you say that, आज breakfast नहीं खाया क्या? Show some energy. Once again, good morning class. Good afternoon classroom. Show some energy. Why should they show you some energy? Are you Katrina Kaif who danced? And before dancing the Kamli song, she said, Amir Khan, मैं अगले 5 मिनट ऐसे डांस करूंगी कि तुम्हारी नजर मुझसे नहीं हटेगी. And if you can dance like Kamli, they will not move their eyes from you and they will show all the energy that you're wanting them to show. हम कब बोलेंगे ये बात कि अगले 1 घंटा तक हम ऐसे पढ़ाएंगे कि तुम्हारी नजर हमसे हटेगी नहीं? Do we carry that power? If yes, you can ask them to show some energy in the beginning of the class, even when you have not started the class. And that's absolutely okay. But then for me, before you start the class and you've delivered your content, do not ask them to just show some energy, say good morning loudly. Nahi bhai. If you comely, if you're Katrina Kaif and you promise to dance like that, you can ask them to show some energy. Okay. That's point number 3. Third don't. And fourth one. So I'm going to only tell you 5 don'ts, okay? And the fourth one. The fourth one is do not start the class with grappling with a pen drive or a PowerPoint. मेरा पेन ड्राइव थोड़ा सेट कर दो. एक ये ऐसे वो मेरा पेन ड्राइव सेट कर दो. ये थोड़ा ये क्यों नहीं चल रहा है? Setting the PowerPoint or the laptop, ये fix नहीं हो रहा है, ये आ नहीं रहा है. Do not start it. You've lost the audience. You are the PowerPoint. You are the video. That video or the PowerPoint that you're carrying is not more powerful than you. Students are already seeing a lot of videos, so don't start a class with video. Never. They're watching more motivational content than you think they are. And they have newer ones. आप क्या दिखाएंगे उनको and motivate करेंगे? You want to motivate them, you become the motivator. Don't do it through a video right at the beginning. So no starting the class just with a PowerPoint at the very beginning or a video or whatever. That's not a very great technique. Okay. And do not grapple with it. ये चल नहीं रहा है, ये लग नहीं रहा है. First is hooking the audience. And I'm going to tell you very soon techniques for hooking the audience. Okay. And the last one also again is my favorite. And I call them check faculties. So have you heard these faculties? They enter the classroom and they say, good morning, good afternoon. Am I audible at the back? Am I audible this side, right side? Am I audible this side? So they keep checking if they're audible. So I call them check faculties. Don't become check faculties, okay? That's not a very pleasant way to start the class. So I've told you there are many techniques. See, my dear faculty members, this file is full of techniques that we have used in these last 20 years. And I'm going to share from this. I'm going to share a few things from this. I hope I do justice in the few minutes that have been given to me. And before I tell you the do's, I'm going to tell you the Mula Mantra. ओडिया कहा जाए मूल मंत्र टू अंडरस्टैंड हाउ टीचिंग हैपेंस एंड आई प्रॉमिस इट्स अ वेरी पावरफुल टेक्निक लिसन टू इट वेरी केयरफुली हिंदी में उसको क्या बोला जाएगा वो मूल मंत्र है जिसको आप अगर समझ जाते हैं तो बहुत चीजें आगे सुंदर हो जाएंगी एंड ओडिया कहीपर मूल मंत्र या बुझा निहाती दरकार See, I can tell you how to design AI. हमें समस्त यूज कर We are using Perplexity, Notebook LLM. We are using ChatGPT to ultimate level. There will be a lot of things that we are using. But to understand, this is like the basic platform. To understand this, it is very easy, and I'll take very less few minutes, 1 minute or probably 1.5 minutes to make you understand this. And it is, look at this paper. It says that your internal world decides your external world. And if I have to ask you a question, now this is not the 1,000 rupees question. The 1,000 rupees question is just coming after this. So it is the pre-1,000 rupees question. If I have to ask you, why do you teach? Don't write it in the chat. It's for internal introspection. Nobody needs to know why you teach, but I want all of you to understand yourself and answer this question to yourself. Why you teach? I give you 5 seconds. You can think and put it on your paper. The question is why you teach or why are you into teaching profession? Okay, so the basic level from where teaching happens is the survival level. For survival, there are a lot of people who teach घर का भाड़ा देना है, छुआ मन का फीस अच्छी, पैसा, this is a method of earning. It's a method of earning for all of us, but they just operate from the survival level. When they are operating from the survival level, the teaching is basic. Now try to understand this. The teaching is basic. There's little happiness, but then there is more of pressure, and classroom teaching happens in the normal way. Okay, the second level. The second level is my favorite, and it is pleasure. How many of you say that it's a pleasure teaching? मुझे पढ़ाना बहुत अच्छा लगता है. When I take interviews here, people tell me, मैम मुझे पढ़ाना बहुत अच्छा लगता है तो मैं पढ़ाती भी हूँ. So they teach. They go and teach in the class. अच्छा लगता है ना पढ़ाना तो हम जाते हैं पढ़ाने के लिए. Here, the success in the classroom is high, and you also feel happy teaching. The wow factor is little there in the classroom with students. Okay. And the third one दिखाने से पहले, my dear faculty members, in 20 years of recruiting faculties, I can count in handful of faculties when I ask them, why do you teach? Give me this answer. Handful. Mu 10টা ki 12টা 15টা কহে দেই পারিবি. Not more than that. I've heard people saying this, that it's my passion to teach. That is why I teach. When you're operating from your level of, so when I ask faculty members at the time of interview at recruitment, no, why do you teach? They say that, what is your passion? They say that my passion is to paint. And also, that's your passion. You enjoy doing that most. Very good. You might bring equivalent amount of passion in the classroom through teaching, but if your passion is not teaching, then let's get conscious about it. Because if you're operating from the level of passion, the success is high, the happiness of students is high, your happiness is high, because you're doing something that you really love to do and you like. And आपकी स्क्रीन पे आने वाला है 1,000 रुपीज के लिए ये question. Get ready. Chat box on hai to yes, the chat box is activated. Okay, yes. So get ready for the question, and the question is: first, I showed you survival level. Second, I showed you pleasure. Third, I said passion. What's the final level of this? And if you operate from that level, the teaching in the classroom is next level. So any answers for this? You can unmute and answer, or you can, I'm happy to read. Let me read. Making an impact, inner happiness. Okay. Teaching inspires me. Kavita madam, thank you so much. I love hearing this. Okay. To do better. Wonderful. Share knowledge and gain knowledge. Thank you. And I enjoy teaching. Wonderful. Okay. I love teaching. That's nice. Let me give you the answer. Okay, I'm still waiting. ମୁଁ ଚାହୁଁନି ଘର ପଇସା ଘରେ ରହିଯାଉ ମୁଁ ଚାହୁଁନି ବିଲକୁଲ କି ଘର ପଇସାଟା ଘରେ ରହିଯିବ. I want to give away this money. Till now I'm not being able to give away this money. For the answers are lovely. Thank you for the answers, but still till now I will not be able to give away this 1,000 rupees. More smart satisfaction. So listen to my question. I showed you that the basic level of teaching happens from survival. Okay. The next level of teaching happens from pleasure. Okay. And the third level of teaching happens from passion. What's the final level? Inspire change. Shada madam says create future leaders, mission to empower learners and make a meaningful difference in society. Oh, who's this? Ye ghara paisa ghare raibane. Okay. Abhijit Sharma sir, you have the correct answer, and he's written purpose. And yes, I thought this is going to stay with me, but then I'm going to give him away this money because he's given the right answer. Purpose. Now try and understand this. When you're operating from purpose, that's the purpose of your life, and you say that because of me, thousands of lives will change. When I will enter the classroom, I will teach in such a way that I'm going to change the lives of these people, maybe through economics, through consumer behavior, or through marketing management, whatever. But इनकी सोच और जिंदगी मेरे वजह से बदलने वाली है. And your impact on them is very high. That's the purpose of your life, to change students' lives and leave them better than you found them. And if that's the purpose from where you're operating, you're teaching them, then success is very high because your focus has changed from me to we. Success is high, happiness is high. And when your purpose is to teach of life, you will design ways for the game of attention. You will design strategies कि आज मैं क्या strategy adopt करूंगा so that I'll hold attention and I'll change lives of people, and I will do it in such a way that it will leave a very deep impact. So that's purpose. And I'm telling you, in 20 years of recruitment, I have not seen people saying that I teach from a level of purpose. My purpose in life is to teach. I have not heard that. And I'm still waiting to hear that. Because once somebody says that, then the game changes. Yes. So that's all. How did you like the concept? Survival, pleasure, passion, and purpose. So if you liked it, you can type Y in the chat box, and that is yes, YES in the chat box. And I'll be happy to know. Okay. That's great. Lovely. So final time to let you know of the techniques that will hold attention in the class, stop the scroll, and create the wow factor in the class. Okay, so are you ready? So Kanya madam, thank you so much. Thank you. So are you ready? Let's go. Okay. How much time do I have, Mrityunjay sir? 2 minutes. Oh, great. Okay. So I'm going to tell you some techniques, and I love acronyms. Acronyms, kisko bolte hain? Acronyms bolte hain? Abbreviations. So I love this. I love creating acronyms, and I've created this acronym OPENS. 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 Once you open the classroom, how do you do it? Okay. So let's remember, I hope you have a paper and a pen, and I want you to write down a few small things, and so that you don't forget, the new faculties can note down, and it's going to help you. Okay, so the first technique is here in front of all of you. O. O stands for oh my God fact, a surprising factoid. Something like this. Suppose I told you all that all the energy of the cars, the lights in the world, air conditions, and factories and industries, जितना भी उनको चाहिए for in 1 year is equivalent to 2 minutes of sun's energy. And does that change how you think about energy? So let's study more about solar energy and how to make you more use of it. Yeah, and now you begin your class. So O is you say good morning students, and you start with a oh my God statement, a fact that shocks. And then students sit to listen. कि अच्छा ऐसा भी है, ऐसा है. And they then sit to listen to you. Okay. So first is O, and that is oh my fact. You leave them, you start the class with a very shocking fact that holds the attention, and that machoku ye paka hue na hook ta paka hue seda era hela hook karya pai taku. This is what you share with them. Okay. O. So I shared O with all of you. Next is, my dear faculty members, P. P is, इसको थोड़ा सा let's try and understand this. P is a puzzle. हमारे सामने अगर एक puzzle आता है तो हमको अगर उसको हटा के खोल के दे दिया जाए, so we think that कि ये leg लग रहा है, but actual में वो ear होता है. Puzzle कैसे ठीक नहीं दिखता है ना, until unless it is not set. So the puzzle technique is you take the class in one direction. Suppose marketing. You say that too. Yesterday we just studied 4 P's of marketing: price, product, place, promotion. And so these are the basic 4 P's. Just that's all that you need to know. But what about, I told you this, and I told you that this is, if you understand 4 P's, that's all you need. But what about those brands like Nike? Nike does not sell shoes, it sells belief. Airbnb, it does not sell accommodation. It sells, what does it sell? It sells, depend kariba. Yes. So if you're telling your class, you're taking the class in one direction, and all of a sudden you change the direction for them to understand deeper, that's also a very powerful technique to begin. And you tell them. So when I take case study method of teaching for the faculty members, I tell them, okay, so let's time to end the case. It's time to close the case. And then I ask them, is the case ever closed? And so new faculty members say, yeah, okay, let's close the case. And then you tell them that no, a case is never closed. It's left open. Yeah. So you take them in one direction, and all the time you're asking question and telling them that this is not the right belief. This is not the right belief. Eta, this is. And the class becomes interesting, and they sit. Oh, it's like opening the brain and the thinking wires to a new direction in life. Okay. Okay. So I told you about puzzle. I hope I made myself clear. O and P. And E. So what's E? What's E? E is explain with a why. And once you explain with a why, your class would start something like this, where in the beginning you tell them that, suppose I had to start today's session and I start with a why. So I'm going to give you an example, okay? if I have to start the session and I tell you only 12% of the students in the world believe that their professors ignited the spirit of learning in them and their desire to be in classroom. That's a real fact, okay? Let's change that fact. Let's increase the percentage from 12 to 72. And I'll give you techniques today, 5 ways to do it. Would you all not be interested? You would be. So, explain why you are here. Why is it important to study the subject? Why consumer behavior? Why perception? Why X, Y, Z? So, once they understand the why, once you establish a very powerful why, they will sit and listen. Okay? You tell them that I'm going to tell you this XYZ technique, and with Y technique, with ANOVA technique, you will be able to do this. With CPM PERT method, this is what you get and what you become. And that leaves a lot of impact. And then students sit to listen. कि ठीक है चलो आज सुनते हैं. That's how also you start. Okay. Okay. And the fourth one and the last one then. Okay, the fourth one. See, I've created this, so do not laugh at the fourth one, the fourth technique. The fourth technique, N, is for no nonsense. Mate kichi word milla nahi how to explain this, so I coined this word no nonsense for N. And what is a no nonsense technique? Here it is. It is WAW. Wow, तो मुआनी वाली नहीं, but wow कहुची. WAW. WAW stands for what audience want. So I love to start the session today. I haven't, but I love to start the session by asking audience. You remember Madhuri Dixit in the song Ek Do Teen? She asks the audience, "तो क्या सुनना चाहेंगे आप? कहिए." And she asks the audience before dancing, क्या सुनना चाहेंगे आप? So this no nonsense is that. What audience want? So you ask the audience, आज क्या पढ़ना है? आज क्या जानना है? आज क्या सुनना है? आज बिले कौन करियर अच्छी? आज को जिनसोड़ा बुझिबो को हमते. I'll explain that. And people say, and you do it. I'm telling you, you cannot satisfy them more if you adopt this method. They want something and you give them that. There cannot be something more satisfying than this. So towards the end, I'm going to do it. Towards the end of the session, I'm going to do it. I'm going to ask you, और क्या पूछना है आपको मुझसे पूछिए, क्या जानना है सब आप मुझसे पूछ सकते हैं, सब कुछ पचारी पारी. Yes, okay. So that was N. N is no nonsense. I'm again repeating. It's what audience want, what your students want. Leave it to them. Okay, somebody says, ma'am, your voice is not clear. It is echoing. Is it? Okay, Gitanjali madam, can you please check? Can you please check? I will also ask my people to check. Please check. It's clear. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Okay. So N is no nonsense. And that's wow, what audience want. You do someday that what audience. अच्छा, what audience want करने के लिए काफी मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी. You have to prepare and you have to be a little, not a very beginner, but a trained faculty to say what audience want. आज मैं वो पढ़ाऊंगा. ठीक है? Okay. And the last one, my most favorite. If you've seen my Instagram channel or RCM's channel, you'll see that I'm doing these days because I've been teaching this since so many years. And till 2013 or 14, my dear faculty members, I was very poor at all this. Okay, it's just, I think, few years back that even I'm learning to do all this. And S is storytelling. And just before the class was about to begin, the Zoom count off. Aji Zoom challa nahi hamara. The Zoom challa nahi, and we said that we'd not be able to do any session today. And here Rahul sitting, Rahul said that इसको postpone कर देते हैं. And हम postpone करने वाले थे और आप सबको message भेजने वाले थे. See, you're all listening to the story which is not true. Okay, but then stories have the power to hook so well. And I'm going to tell you, so see this This pothi has got a lot of techniques, but of storytelling, how to do it in a class. Before I end up, I'm also going to tell you that we'll not be able to cover everything. This is a 3-hour FDP session that happens in RCM in person. And today, if by any chance I'm sure we'll not be able to cover everything. But then I would request all of you to come one day in the college on a Saturday probably, and we will discuss a lot of techniques and a lot of things, and I'll give you everything that's there in this file. So before you write rip on my profile, be phegi keval loko chali janti. Before you write rip on my profile, Sanghamit Rapal, you will remember, gave everything that was there in her file and sab kuch leki wale. Okay, as storytelling, my dear faculty members, is something that we all know, but I'm going to tell you one method of adult storytelling. How an adult listen. It's not, you're not teaching age 2, 3, 4 year old children. We're all teaching the above generation. So, how does storytelling happen for this generation that we are all teaching? I want to tell you that. It does not start with, listen to this carefully. It does not start with, today I'm going to tell you a story. Sariola, kiye sunya pai chahibini. Nahi, ame bahut story sunuchu. So we don't want to hear to this line. How good story suni paribuni. What if I told you? So today I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to bomb kar screen time. Telling you, you'll switch off the video. The adult storytelling starts directly with the story. The way I started today, just Zoom conked off and it didn't work. So you start directly with the story and not with the line, I'm going to tell you a story, or not with the line, once it so happened, or once upon a time. Koi baat nahi. You directly hook the audience by saying, so I was coming into the classroom, and just before entering the classroom, you directly start the story, or you start the story with the mishap that has happened. And I saw today, students, what happened? I saw this girl falling from the 4th floor. You directly कहाँ कब कैसे गिरी कितने बजे गिरी वो बाद में बताएंगे. First is hooking the audience. I saw this girl falling from the 4th floor, and the moment we all ran, you hook the audience. So you start the story bang on directly without saying, I'm going to tell you a story, or once upon a time this happened. Okay, so this is a very basic funda of storytelling, and there is a lot of techniques. Storytelling itself is a very powerful session. I would request all of you to attend the storytelling session also sometime, because it leaves the classroom with a very wow feeling. Okay. Kitty ma'am is here and she's going to tell you a lot of things, how to sustain the class and the energy and a lot of things. Before that, I want to leave you all with one very important thing. And it is, we're talking about scroll generation, how to hold attention, the game of attention for the scroll generation. Who's the scroll generation, my dear faculty members? They or us? Or the senior citizens? The scroll generation that we're calling them are students, they are not the scroll generation. The scroll generation is us. We are the scroll generation. We're scrolling. Tell me who's not scrolling. I'm the scrolling. Mu to admit karu that I'm scrolling. We are all scrolling. And the generation who's above us, all above 65, are scrolling all the more. आपण जानतु कहा घर को the generation above 65 is scrolling the maximum. तांकर सबु जिंस WhatsApp रे एठु good morning ताकु forward सेठु a group रो सेठी. They are scrolling Instagram. All adult people have Instagram today. Instagram अछि तांकर above 60 वाला सबु किछि अछि. They have entered the scroll generation, and they are a big time scroll generation. We are a big time scroll generation. The students are not. The students are probably getting up, going to their classes, attending class, not class. Ladki par jhiya pateki rakchanti, puo pateki rakchanti, whatever. They're watching a movie. They're doing khotti, whatever. They're scrolling less than us. So if we have to make that generation scroll less, we have to ourselves scroll less and use that time for creating more examples, more analogies, more whatever assignments, using more tech, embedding more tech in the class to take tests, or how to use. We do a session on how to use completely AI, Kahoot, Mentimeter, everything, and design strategies to hold their attention. If we scroll less, we will invest our time in doing all this, and it will help them scroll less, because then we're going to take a very wow class for which we are all born. That's it. That's it. That's all for today. Iti ma'am is sitting here with me. Thank you so much for coming. RCM is happy, and it's a pleasure and pride for RCM that you're all here with us. The super learners are here with us, and we want to remain associated with all of you. And let's sometime meet in the campus too. It'll be lovely to catch up with all of you. And thank you so much for coming today, for learning and being here. Thank you so much. Over to Rituparna and Iti ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that elaborate and carefully nuanced address on how to transform classroom communication by integrating practical techniques so as to
Excuse
ensure
me, ma'am.
space.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry to interrupt you in between. I'm Dr. Nehara Singh. I'm from Bihar, Gaya. And there is one problem which I'm facing in this session, that is a language issue. I do understand English and Hindi, but apart from that, that other language is, creating a problem to understand.
Surely, ma'am, that will be
Yeah,
taken care of in the next session.
yeah, thank
I'm glad that you've pointed that out.
Yeah,
So,
ma'am.
Neha ma'am, my due apologies. I thought that everybody must be understanding Odia, but then that's a barrier. I should not have thought that. I really apologize for
No,
that.
ma'am. Please don't be apologize, ma'am.
That's
It's my
okay.
humble request, ma'am, because it
That's
was a very
okay.
nice session, and somehow some words I just missed out, so that's why I just
Okay.
point
I'm
out this
sure
topic.
the next trainer who's going to come, she is not going to use even one word of Odia, because her English is flawless, and she takes sessions for us in English. And so she's going to do justice to whatever it is. Okay, over to her.
I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Itishri Devi, Principal UG at Regional College of Management, who will be delivering our next session of this program. Allow me to walk you through her rich academic and professional journey. On the academic front, Dr. Devi holds a PhD from Utkal University, Odisha. Her professional journey is equally distinguished. She has been a lecturer in English at Kamla Nehru Women's College, Bhubaneswar, having also served as a visiting faculty at Juanita College, Pennsylvania, USA. Since 2018, Dr. Itishri Devi has been serving as Principal UG at RCM, a role that she continues to hold with distinction till this day. So I now invite Dr. Devi to come forward and take over our next session. Ma'am, over to you.
Super. So nice to have you all. Very good afternoon, everyone. Just giving you a little bit of a breathing space so that you can, after that wow session by Soni ma'am, we call her Soni. She's fondly called Soni, although her name is Dr. Sangamita Path. So now, late afternoon sessions are the toughest time to conduct a session. The mind says focus, stomach says coffee, snacks, breaks, and drinks. So congratulations, and to both you and Soni Madam for holding your attention. If she has been able to do so, I'm sure she's been eminently capable in doing that. You've already cleared the first challenge of today's program, staying away after lunch. Now, we all know how difficult it is to keep students awake during our post-lunch sessions. And I'm completely empathizing with you. If I can keep you engaged till the end, then today's topic, mastering the art of classroom communication, will prove itself. So let's begin. No slides, nothing, no PPT today. Let me clarify one thing first. Today is not a lecture on communication. It is a live demonstration. Everything that happens to you in the next 30, 40 minutes, the way I open, the videos you will see, the anecdotes I'll tell you, and even the silence is the technique happening to you in real time, like it happens in a classroom, or what we think should happen in a classroom. So that tomorrow you can do it with 40 students in the morning in your next session. I see some cameras on. Can I have a few more cameras on, please, so that I can see some faces? Nice to see you. If you're not too preoccupied with something else, let's see faces. They're so much more interesting than looking at invisible Anil Kapoor's and Sri Devi's in the film Mr. India. Remember the invisible Anil Kapoor? But it's so much more interesting to, look at the faces of people. Thank you. That's great. Okay, let's try and make you sit up in your chairs. Give me 1 minute, please. In this second, you have the video on.
Attention. Count how many times the players wearing white pass the basketball. How many passes did you count? The correct answer is 15 passes. But
Okay. Now, all of you have seen the video. I'll ask the question again, and please get the answer. You've already been asked the question, how many times did the students in white t-shirt pass the ball to each other? Correct answer, as the video rightly says, is 15. But how many of you have actually seen the gorilla? Can we have hands up, please? Can we have some hands up? How many of you have actually seen the gorilla? Okay, I can see a few. Anyone else? If you've not seen, it's okay. I'm not, putting you to a test. Okay, great. Okay, fine. All right. Now, so we are all being honest. When I saw this video for the first time, trust me, I did not notice the gorilla passing by, even though he's crossing and on the screen he's thumping his chest and he's passing by. But I was so engrossed in counting the number of passes, that I completely missed the gorilla. I had to go back to the video again to see where the gorilla was, because the question being asked is, did you see the gorilla? Others did not. So we all saw the video. Some of us saw the gorilla, others did not. Why? Now that is not a flaw. Believe me, because you were given an instruction. The instruction was that you have to count the number of passes the ball passes from one person to another. Now, your mind was focused entirely, your attention, your mind was focused entirely on the number of passing the ball. You did not, or your attention was not diverted by the gorilla passing through the screen. This is not a flaw in you. The Point is, your attention was on one thing, and your attention was not diverted by the other thing that was passing before you. This is known as inattentional blindness, which means my attention is focused on one thing but blind to the other thing. So it's not a flaw. I repeat again. It is how every human attention system actually works, including your students. Attention is not a floodlight. When there's a floodlight, everything is visible simultaneously. It is a spotlight, which means your mind is focused on one particular spot where the mind is looking or your attention has been diverted. Whatever is not in the beam does not exist to the brain, no matter how large or unusual it is, in this case, the gorilla. Now, why this matters in teaching? When we open a class with, okay, today we are going to look at chapter 7, section 2 on photosynthesis. We have just told students, now listen for information. Immediately, their brain switches to a low attention mode because nothing has aroused their curiosity. Soni Madam spoke about that in the first half of the session. Nothing has aroused their curiosity. You're just giving them information. Okay, today I'm going to teach this. Section 2 on photosynthesis. Immediately, their brain switches to a low attention mode because nothing has aroused their curiosity. You become the gorilla walking in the middle of the room. You, the teacher, you become the gorilla. Why? Because their attention is more focused on other things that have created interest in them, that they find more interesting, that they are curious about. So you are just a gorilla passing by, and their attention is diverted somewhere else. You are there, but you're not there. It's so much more interesting to scroll on the mobile. You become like a background noise, somebody blah, 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 going on, saying something, and then your mind is either on the phone. When we were young in classrooms, we didn't have a mobile phone. So what did we do? I remember when the classes became very boring, I would scroll, write a message and pass it to my fellow student. And then it sort of became a game of passing on messages. Or you look at a pretty girl sitting on the other end of those were our attention diverters. Today, of course, the mobile is there, many other things as well. So remember, your competition is not with inattentiveness of the student. I repeat again, you're not competing with the inattentiveness. We all get frustrated. Oh, they're so inattentive in class. Why don't they listen to me? Why are they making noise? Every time they're looking here, there, everywhere, but to me, who they should be looking at. Now, it's not their fault at all. It is not their fault at all, nor is it yours. But your competition is not with the inattentiveness of the student, nor is it AI. Your competition is with everything else which competes for their attention during those 45 minutes that you are inside the classroom. Sangamitra Madam has already given you strategies for grabbing attention within the first minute. So I will not go to, how do they stop scrolling? Because once you enter the classroom, you have to devise strategies to draw their attention and draw their interest. Let's go to the second part of it. Now let's go to the second segment of the session that I have already, mentioned in the advertisement that you saw. Hook or spark the mind. Spark the mind. Create interest in the mind. Once you've drawn the attention, you have to continue the momentum by keeping the mind sparked. And how do you do that? There are several strategies that can be adopted. And I'm sure many of us sitting here already do that consciously or unconsciously. But when we do something very consciously, believe me, it becomes more powerful. You add power to it because you know what you're doing and why you're doing it. So the first one is open loop, or we call it the curiosity gap. Open loop or the curiosity gap. For example, start a story or a fact, deliberately leave it unfinished. The brain hates unresolved threads. So it keeps listening for the payoff. What is going to come after this? What is going to come after this? You've all seen Netflix serials. I watch a lot of Pakistani serials. And there you will see the end is always left in suspense, so that you try and wait for the next, series to come, so that you get a solution to that question or the suspense that has come at the end of the drama that you're watching on that very day. That is how Netflix draws attention for the next upcoming serial. And they deliberately, it'll come on weekends. So everybody waits till Friday evening, I have to get there because I want to see what is the end of that question or the suspense that was at the end of that serial I saw. So start a story or a fact. Deliberately leave it unfinished. For example, a single sentence. Now I'm reading out I'm citing the example. A single sentence written by a man who never held political office toppled a monarchy. We will get to that sentence. But I repeat again, a single sentence written by a man who never held political office toppled a monarchy. This happened during the French Revolution or before the French Revolution began. It was that very strict. I'm just giving you the answer, but in the classroom, you will not get the answer till you have taught them the whole thing. So if you keep the end open, which is again called an open loop, then you're creating curiosity in the mind of your students. Okay? Now, I repeat again, state something incomplete or unresolved. This is also known as the Zeigarnik effect. Zeigarnik effect. Unfinished tasks, any unfinished task stays active in the memory far more than finished ones. Remember, we had that question in Three Idiots. Remember Ranchod Das Chanchad? Most of us definitely have seen the picture Three Idiots. Ranchod Das Chanchad in the movie Three Idiots asks a question to Virus, who's flaunting his pen. This pen was given to me, and this is the pen that was used, when going to space. It's a very expensive pen, and I'll give it to the best student. So Ranchod Das, this young man who's very curious, very intrigued by this, says, why can't astronauts use a pencil in space instead of an expensive pen? That's a very simple question he's asking. And this very knowledgeable man, principal, Virus, had no answer. He started fumbling. He was caught off guard. So that's the kind of question we're looking for. Then later on, he takes the trouble to find out, because this young boy has created or challenged his intelligence. So in order to, make sure that he has an answer, he looks for it, and then towards the end of the movie, if you remember, he tells Ranchod Das, what is his name? Yeah, Ranchod Das Chanchad. He tells him that, look, they don't use a pencil because if you cut a pencil, the lead might go into the eyes of the astronauts. So the answer to that question comes at the very end. Virus does not give an answer there and then because he doesn't have the answer. And yet he's so intrigued by the question, he doesn't want to admit defeat. So he finds out the answer, and at the end of it, he gives him the answer. Learning sticks to the mind better when students discover before they receive. So allow the student to discover themselves before they receive anything from you. Years ago, I was studying intermediate science. Now we had Professor Vichitra Nanda, a very renowned professor of chemistry, who's no more today, who taught us chemistry. He was a brilliant teacher. One day, he walked into the classroom and then looked at me and asked, "Oi, Itishi, raise your hand." I said, and I raised my hand, and raise your hands properly so that everybody can see. And I thought I was so scared. You know, what is happening? All the 127 students behind me, they're all looking at me. She must have done something, and I'm scared to death because he was a very senior professor. So he raises his, I raised my hand, and then he looked at me. "What are you wearing on your hands?" I said, "I'm wearing a bangle." Then again, I think to myself, what have I done wrong? Why is he telling me like this? And then he says, looks at the class. "So, what material is that bangle made of?" "Gold." "Why is your bangle made of gold and not any other metal? Any other metal? Why is gold the most favorite metal for making jewelry? Why not other metals?" That one question led us into the properties of metals, and to the answer, he explained to us why gold is used for making jewels and not any other metal. So you see, even in those days, good faculty knew how to engage the students. Then the next thing you can adopt is ask students to think about something they had never thought before. Ask students to think about something they had never thought before. Now, this question I'm asking you, the audience. I'm asking you now, right now, as you're sitting in front of me, write one thing that will change in you if you are today suddenly transported to planet Jupiter. I'm giving you a bit of silence. Can you just think? And some of you write your answer in the chat. Write one thing that will change in you if you are transported to planet Jupiter. So I'm leaving you with a question, and you are taken by surprise, and yet now you're starting to think. I'm leaving you with that question for a few seconds. Can you write in your chat box, please? Take your time, take it. I'm waiting. My weight will change. So how your weight changing will make a difference in your life? Excellent answer. I see Shraddha Padi Madam, I see Sukanya, and I see Shivangi Bhatia and Kavita. My companion, oh, that's an interesting answer. My companion, okay. My existence, yes, of course, your existence. That's what I'm asking you, right? Wonderful. Okay, now your weight will change. So if your weight changes, what other changes will be, will be affected by it, by the change of your weight? So think about that. If your weight changes on Jupiter, and Jupiter is almost 318 times heavier than Earth. So imagine how much your weight will change. All of us now, we have realized that our weight will change. But can you think of one day living, I'm looking like this, but I'll feel heavy, huge, like a huge bulldozer. Now, how does that change my lifestyle? It will change entirely. So this is a thought you are asking the student to think about, something that he's never thought before. Why are you doing that? In order to teach the theory of gravity and why Earth is the best planet for human beings to live on. So that's how you create the curiosity in him. That's how you create the intrigue in him. This is how you can do. Then, of course, there is the good old silence. Sometimes it's good to stay silent and allow the students to think. Ask them a question and then allow them to think. Just remain silent. A deliberate pause of 5 to 8 seconds before speaking, just after entering the room, is very effective. Silence can be very disruptive. Classrooms are supposed to be noisy, and you are acting against that expectation. Second, communicate to arouse curiosity. Communicate to arouse curiosity. So your duty is to arouse curiosity in them. Now let's talk about the IKEA effect. IKEA is a big furniture company. It's a large furniture company, very large. It's come to India since quite some time, but I don't know how many people here in Odisha use IKEA products or whether we have an outlet here. I have no clue. But I've seen them in the US where I was teaching for over a decade, and I've seen those. These are like little villages. You go in and you get lost. So, what's interesting about IKEA furniture is that they don't send you the furniture, they send you all the parts, the boards, the screws, nuts. What is that noise? Okay. So they send you the boards, screws. Okay. Screws, nuts, bolts, everything that is needed to assemble a furniture. For example, you want to build a cupboard, they'll not send you a cupboard, they'll send you this side, that side, and they'll send you an instruction manual. You have to assemble it yourself. People love doing that. It's a win-win situation for the company and for the people. Why? The company can in mass produce one part of the cupboard to make, to supply for 1,000 cupboards. Or each little part is made in a separate section. Then they put it together. Then they send you, package it to you, send it to you, and they give you an instruction manual. I have seen how people, as soon as they come back from the office, they're busy. They're busy trying to assemble that. They'll forget about their food and everything. I've seen that. Young couples, who just newly married couples, suddenly they get all this furniture parts and they sit there like a little child assembling a jigsaw puzzle. They will sit there and try to put together and create that wonderful furniture. So it's a win-win situation. The company produces at scale, people get furniture at lower cost, and yet they experience the joy of building something themselves. It feels as if they themselves have made the furniture. What happens when we explain everything before students think? We rob them the satisfaction of discovery. So, I think one of you has unmuted. Can you please mute your device? Can you please mute it? One of you has your device unmuted. It'll help because we are getting a strange noise there.
Yeah, it's muted now. You can continue.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks so very much. So we rob them of the satisfaction of discovery. Most of us teach in the wrong order. What do? We enter into the classroom. Today we are discovering Newton's third law of motion. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. You've already given away the answer. So what is there to understand? In between, there is information. Okay, so we rob them of the satisfaction of discovery. Then we give the examples. The gap is gone. Students become only receivers of information, not participants in learning, like what I said in the IKEA case. You have to make them participants in the learning. Just standing there in front of them, giving them the information, they lose interest after some time. They'll completely lose. They have to be participants. They have to be part of the system which answers the questions that you are raising to them. So flip the technique, change the technique. Open with a paradox, for example. What is a paradox? Something that is unimaginable, contrary to what you would think, is a paradox. For example, in economics, you say sometimes raising the price of a product can sometimes increase how much people want to buy it. Strange, isn't it? The moment gold becomes costlier, there are some people who will run to buy. Why? For fear that everybody will take away and I'll be the one who will not have a portion of it. So in economics, sometimes raising the price of a product can increase how much people want to buy it. In literature, for example, this is a paradox, which is not expected. If something is more expensive, we don't go and buy them. I remember when onions a few years ago, onions suddenly became, now it's almost that again, but suddenly onions from 20 rupees a kg became 50 rupees a kg. I stopped buying for onions for a week or so. But then I saw everybody was going and buying. So I said, okay, 50 rupees or not, onions are very important in our life, so let me go and buy it. Now come to literature, for example. And I'm a literature person. Started out my career in literature. For example, in literature, you say, the villain of this novel never tells us a lie. The villain of this novel never tells us a lie. Everything terrible he does, he tells you beforehand. Now, interesting. Now, normally we wouldn't know a villain that he is a villain. But in that particular novel, the villain, even before doing something, he will tell that I'm going to go into a house and drop something. Again, this is a paradox, not expected. Can we have one or two volunteers here, please? Who, let it be in the context of the subject that you are teaching. Take your time, just take about 10 to 20 seconds to think. Can you
Ma'am,
think
could
of
you please repeat the question?
Okay, I'm asking you to write a similar paradox in your subject area. For example, if you are teaching, excuse me, ma'am, what are you teaching? What do you
Ma'am, I
teach?
take care of the financial subjects. I've specialized in finance.
Excellent.
Ji.
So
So
can
I'm
you,
taking care of financial subjects.
super. Can you let us, give us one paradox in finance that happens? It is not expected, but it happens. Just
Okay,
think about
ma'am.
it.
I'll just think of it.
And I'm asking all the other participants also, if they can think of something in their particular subject which seems like a paradox. That means you expect something, but something else happens. That is what a paradox is. Okay, maybe you need a little bit more time in thinking, trying to think about that paradox. Okay, so doesn't matter. I leave you with that task for later. So now the third, way how we can sustain their attention, sustain the connection. Now we have gone to the class, we have grabbed their attention, we have given them, wonderful, curious beginnings and things to think about, things to ponder over. Now, as well as I, that human attention cannot be continuously focused on a particular subject for a long period of time. Attention dips begin as early as in 30 seconds. Because mind is, in literature, if anyone here is a literature person, we have something called a stream of consciousness novel. That means our consciousness, our brain does not work in a smooth, straight line. As I'm talking to you, maybe my mind, because I'm focused on saying, my mind is focused on this. But you are the listeners, you're the passive listeners. So your mind, when you're listening to me, your mind will float here, there, and everywhere. And sometimes you consciously bring it back. No matter how interesting of a professor I am, you're still trying to, after every 30 seconds, you have to bring your brain back to focus. Okay, I need to focus on what she's saying, otherwise I'll miss out something.
Ma'am, can I answer that paradox question?
Can we do it a little later?
Sure,
Just
ma'am.
let me finish this, please.
Okay, ma'am.
Can you mute yourself please now? Thank you. We'll take it after this one. Sure. Wonderful that you have actually, thought of a paradox that you can use in classrooms. So this process of suddenly, dipping of attention recurs every 4 minutes to 5 minutes, sometimes 7 minutes to 9 minutes, and sometimes 9 minutes to 10 minutes through a lecture. Attention does not stay engaged continuously for 10-20 minutes at a stretch. Neither the students nor ours. It cycles between engaged and disengaged. That means sometimes our attention is engaged to what is being told in front of us. Sometimes it is not. Sometimes we miss out. We become blank. Our heads become blank, or maybe some other thought enters into our heads. And the cycles get shorter as the lecture goes on. That means your attention span becomes smaller and smaller as the lecture progresses. If all of you have seen, and I have classes just before lunch break. So I see that just 10 minutes before lunch break, I can already see students, giving me hints. They start packing their notebook, packing their bags, indicating to you, that's it for today. Okay, let's call it a day. So we need to adopt interactive strategies where students are equally the participants. Keep students engaged every 10 minutes. So change your strategy every 10 minutes. You are using one particular strategy for the first 10 minutes. Then you see they start fidgeting, or somebody looks here, there, somebody maybe, just takes a look at the mobile or a notebook or something. So we need to change our strategies every 10 minutes. How do we do that? Change your pattern. You are standing there before them. You have to change your pattern. Break your own rhythm suddenly. Go silent. For some time, sometimes I was telling Sony madam the other day, sometimes I'm teaching here and I can see from the side of the corner of my eye another person talking or writing to somebody else, or just looking at the mobile. From here, I'm looking at this person while talking, but I tell Prashant, stop looking at your mobile. But Prashant suddenly goes, she's looking that way, but she's pointing at me. It's good to call students by their names. That way they are, they know that if the teacher knows me, then I can be put in the spot at any given moment of time. So attention survives only on curiosity, which means every 10 minutes you have to do something that again gets back that curiosity in there. Break your own rhythm. Suddenly go silent. I told you, change your tune, stop mid-sentence. Predictability, if the student already predicts your behavior, then he goes to sleep. His mind is already sleeping. Okay. Right. Then, physical or sensory shift. For example, you are standing at one point, which we do very often. You go right into the middle of the class. That way, again, they know that you're approaching them, so they become a little conscious. Attention follows the body. Change posture, movement, or just stand up, turn to somebody, close your eyes, reset your focus without new content. Content being the same, your strategy would be a little different. Close your eyes for 5 seconds. For example, ask the student, close your eyes for 5 seconds and picture this scenario before I actually describe it. A few minutes ago, I asked you to imagine yourself on the planet Jupiter. So if I ask them to close your eyes, okay, now think today you are on Jupiter. How do things change? Yes, the faculty who wanted to give suggestions for a paradox. Hello? Are you there? Okay. You want employees, is that the one? Invincible ipsita? You want employees who align with the culture, yet you also need people who challenge it with diverse perspectives. Okay? Then this one, to listen whom as a salesperson to customer demand or company policy related to price negotiation. don't I don't think the second one qualifies as a paradox. So you understand, paradox means contrary to what you expect. Paradox means we expect this. If the value of something rises up, then we expect that people will stop buying that. But in some cases, when the value increases, people start buying it, right? Out of desperation or I don't know what, but they start buying it. So anyway, now let's come back to the next method of changing strategy. Use an analogy. What is analogy again? Analogy explains one thing by comparing it with another similar thing, right? Explain one thing by comparing it with another similar thing. It does not mean that two things are exactly the same. It means they work in a similar way. For example, okay, this phone costs 1,000 rupees, but if the battery is dead, it's just an expensive paperweight. So I'm giving you as an example of an analogy. This phone, you have a phone around here? Okay. This phone, not very expensive, sorry, it's very cheap one. This phone costs thousands of rupees, but if the battery of this phone is dead, it is just an expensive paperweight. How? Knowledge is like the phone. Communication is the battery. Without communication, knowledge cannot perform. That is why since I'm also a communication faculty, we keep insisting on students that your communication has to improve, because no matter how much knowledge you carry in your head, unless you add to it the battery of communication, you will not be able to express your ideas in front of those interviewers who are going to recruit you in future, or in front of anybody for that matter. Right? Then sometimes you can, rebuild, create attention with a quick quiz, ask them 2-3 questions and ask them to write them down. Okay, ask them to write the answers to these 2-3 questions. But very important, which I use very often in the classroom, is personal experience, vulnerable story. Use stories. Believe me, students are interested in the story you tell them. And since I have been abroad a number of times, I tell them stories of a world that they're not, familiar with. For example, I give what is a vulnerable story? Show your weakness. There's nothing wrong in showing your weakness in front of your students. In fact, they will be able to associate with you. For example, I'll tell you one experience that I had gone through. I was in Norway. I'm a professional Odissi dancer. So I was performing in Norway. This was during the daytime, but the hall had about 700 capacity with 700. Mrityunjay, sorry. The hall had 700 people sitting there, all delegates from different countries in the world. And I was giving a lecture demonstration in dance because they were curious to know about this Indian classical dance. I dance Odissi. So I stood in front of the mic, and this was morning at 10 o'clock, but pitch dark inside that hall. So typically we have our programs in the evening. So I said, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen." I started like this. And the whole audience, 700 people, burst into laughter. And then I realized my mistake. Then I had to say, I'm extremely sorry. And then what did I do? I tried to improvise there. What did I do? I said, sorry, you see, I'm generally used to performing in evenings, never in the mornings. And this place looks completely dark. It looks like night. And therefore, this was a slip of tongue. And then they settled down. They understood. And this I told in front of my children. So it's okay. It's okay to show them that you are also vulnerable, that you also have your difficult times. Tell them stories of personal experience that is much more believable. When you have gone through something, they believe you much more than if you create a story and tell them about. Okay? Because facts, it means you are telling them facts, so they can relate to your experience. All right? Now, let's take we will watch another video.
I'd like to suggest that there are 4 really powerful cornerstones, foundations, that we can stand on if we want our speech to be powerful and to make change in the world. Fortunately, these things spell a word. The word is hail, and it has a great definition as well. I'm not talking about the stuff that falls from the sky and hits you on the head. I'm talking about this definition, to greet or acclaim enthusiastically, which is, I think, how our words will be received if we stand on these 4 things. So what do they stand for? See if you can guess. The H, honesty, of course. Being true in what you say, being straight and clear. The A is authenticity, just being yourself. A friend of mine described it as standing in your own truth, which I think is a lovely way to put it. The I is integrity, being your word, actually doing what you say, and being somebody people can trust. And the L is love. I don't mean romantic love, but I do mean wishing people well. For 2 reasons. First of all, I think absolute honesty may not be what we want. I mean, my goodness, you look ugly this morning. Perhaps that's not necessary. Tempered with love, of course, honesty is a great thing. But also, if you're really wishing somebody well, it's very hard to judge them at the same time. I'm not even sure you can do those 2 things simultaneously. So, hail. Also, now that's what you say, and it's like the old song, it is what you say, it's also the way that you say it. You have an amazing toolbox. This instrument is incredible, and yet this is a toolbox that very few people have ever opened. I'd like to have a little rummage in there with you now, and just pull a few tools out that you might like to take away and play with, which will increase the power of your speaking. Register, for example. Now, falsetto register may not be very useful most of the time, but there's a register in between. I'm not going to get very technical about this for any of you who are voice coaches. You can locate your voice, however. So if I talk up here in my nose, you can hear the difference. If I go down here in my throat, which is where most of us speak from most of the time, but if you want weight, you need to go down here to the chest.
Okay? Thank you. Basically, Julian Treasure, he was speaking on the art of speaking in classrooms. Now we teach communications, so we do a lot of voice training also inside the classrooms. And see, we are all faculty. We are all faculty. Thank you. In a way, we are also drama people. We stand in front on a stage and we behave, we do what can create most interest in the students. So sometimes you have to act, sometimes you have to play a role, and then you have to make funny noises sometimes, maybe funny postures. And I show students very often how different postures can indicate different things for different people. And my father, I remember when we were little children, used to always say that a crooked body is a sign of a crooked mind. So I would use this always on my students, saying that don't walk bent, don't slouch, don't do this, don't do that. Because then I used to say, my father used to tell me all the time that you have to walk straight. Why? A crooked body is the sign of a crooked mind, which is not true, of course. But we grew up in that manner. And the last thing that we need to leave a classroom is with shape and impact. Create an impact so that students remember you 10 years from today. If you can create that impact, nothing like it. Now, obviously, it's not easy to do all of those things that Soni Madam pointed out and that I pointed out in one class. But in every class, you are all faculty. You've been teaching. You know the best way to create interest. So let it be from us to the students. If I was a student sitting in front, how would I react to my standing in front of you and talking to you for years? If we think about that, am I making an impression? Am I, instead of going there and saying, no, I have to finish the syllabus today. We are all pressed by, we have to complete the syllabus. Syllabus khatam karna hai. Kya kare? Time nahi hai, classes nahi hai, sometimes classes are being suspended. Yes, that is all there. But in spite of it, we can use all of these techniques that we discussed today in order to engage the students and make it more interesting for the students. After all, as I said, teaching is also a passion. And the students are there, if they can get something from you, some of the things that you tell them, they will remember forever. So inspire, shaping an impact means inspiring learning beyond the classroom. Think about taking an aeroplane flight, sitting on a flight. All of us have heard the instructions. Because air hostess stands in front as the flight takes off. The air hostess gives us instructions. We don't remember the instructions in detail, but all of us remember three things. Tie your belt for safety's sake. Then about the oxygen mask that is below, that will fall from the top, and also the exit route. These three things we know. We don't remember exactly what the person said, how she said it. But we remember that these are the three things that we need to take away from our flight. Okay. So finally, now let's, I'll be closing now very soon. So I should not be saying that I'll be closing, but here I'm getting indication, khatam kijiye, okay. So, yeah. Okay. After this, we'll take a few questions. Okay. Now, I remember there was a CEO of a company, I read somewhere, the CEO of a company, when he was asked that, which subject changed your life? He said, none. Then he smiled again and said, it was not the subject, it was my teacher. She ended every class, that means the teacher ended every class with one sentence. Go home today and notice something nobody else notices. So later on, and the CEO says, later on, I realized the meaning of what she was saying. It was so deeply ingrained in me that I started noticing things that others would not. It was because of that teacher who had left that idea in my mind. I'm talking about myself. When I was in school, I had an Australian teacher, proper Australian gentleman. His name was Richard. He taught us botany, not one of my favorite subjects at all. But one thing he said has stayed with me for over 40 years. Whenever he saw me frowning, he would gently say, Itishri, don't frown. The world has not come to an end. And he would smile. Over the years, I've realized how true that is. Nothing in life, I've realized growing up also, and I practiced this subconsciously, nothing in life is so difficult that we need to keep fretting about it. Bad times come, bad times pass. As long as the world is still there, so are we. AI or not, teachers are and will always remain relevant because they shape emotions, they inspire minds, they influence action, and they touch human sensitivity in ways no AI can. Thank you. Now we are open to questions. We have 10 minutes for you to ask questions. Soni madam is also sitting here. Yeah. Can we hear questions from you, please? Thank you. Somebody has. Yeah. Come ahead. We can take the question. No worries. Okay, my dear faculty members, before we say our final thank you, I would love to answer some questions. Please ask us some questions. Okay, so some Gitanjali ma'am saying thank you, ma'am. Okay. Okay. And if there are no questions, then okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I know it's almost time. It's time for everybody to leave. You must be packing up. So if there are any questions, you ask us questions. Otherwise, I'll leave you with something more powerful. And that would be something you can take home also along with you because, okay, there is a question. Kavita ma'am says, oh, okay. Should exams measure what students know, what they can do, or how they think? It's an interesting question. That's a very wonderful question, Kavita madam. You asked, should exams measure what students know, what they can do, or how they think? Yes. So I'm reminded of this cartoon that we saw once. So in line, there is a tree, and in front of the tree, there is an elephant, there is a fish, there is a monkey, and there is an alligator, and all of them are standing in the line. And the question is in the exam for the test for all of them is who can climb the tree faster? So elephant, squirrel, monkey and alligator. सबको एक ही question दिया गया. To climb the tree faster and quickly. Yes. Does that justify? Because elephant has his own skill. The monkey also has this skill. Squirrel also has something, and alligator also is powerful at something. So with one question, you cannot definitely judge the caliber of the candidate because every candidate is different. But then having said that, ma'am, you teach in a class and you teach a particular thing. So today, suppose I've taught you something, and if I ask a question now, which is the fourth thing for which I announced that I'm going to give you 1,000 rupees. And if you're operating from that level, you deliver in the classes, wow. So which is that fourth thing? If you can remember and answer it as purpose, then I've done justice to whatever I've been able to teach and make that concept clear and also help you remember that. So whatever we are teaching, to some extent, we expect that the students must understand this much, the basics, and then answer that. So in an exam, to understand whatever, to find out whatever you've taught, if they've understood it properly or not, a basic level of exam is definitely necessary. But you want to ignite and spark their thinking, the questions for that will be different. Kavita madam, I have a beautiful thing which I would like to share here. And that is when the class ends, no, I ask students to ask me a lot of questions. I said, my dear students, the class is open for questions. I would love to answer some questions. And why do I always say that? I always keep 10 minutes for questions because उस क्वेश्चंस के थ्रू से पता चलता है व्हाट हैज बीन योर लेवल ऑफ टीचिंग. अगर आपने पढ़ाया है वाओ, वो क्वेश्चंस आएंगे उस तरफ से, वेरी इंटेलिजेंट वाओ क्वेश्चंस, एंड आई टेक अप दोस क्वेश्चंस एंड लिसन टू दोस क्वेश्चंस टू अंडरस्टैंड आज मैंने पढ़ाया कैसा है. So yes, to some extent the exam is necessary and it has to test students understanding and the whatever they have learned. Because now as a student, their work is to learn and put it in the paper, and that's their primary job. They're not asked to break stones, build a house, or revamp whatever building. They're not asked to do. Their primary work is to study and reproduce. And if they have been able to do it well, then they're doing their job well. And if they're doing their job well now, they will do it later. वो घर भी अपना अच्छे से बसाएंगे, बीवी को भी खुश रखेंगे बाद में वो काम भी अच्छा करेंगे, वो जॉब पे भी अपना मन लगाएंगे, बिकॉज जब पढ़ाई का टाइम था उन्होंने पढ़ाई की. Okay, so I hope I answered your question, but still, if you would like to ask further questions, I would love to answer them.
If you can just add one word to that, if I can just add one word to that, that yes, not only it tells you how much you've been able to transfer to the students, how much curiosity you have raised in them, it also, one person asks a question, and when you give clarity to that question, there are other students who probably did not pay as much attention. They will also get to know the answer. So it's a good idea to leave some space for asking questions to the students. I think, as I said, the other students also learn from one student asking questions. They also get, some students are scared to ask questions. Very often that happens. They're afraid, they're scared, etc. Okay, can we go to the next question, please?
Any more questions? And we'll be happy to answer some.
Hello.
Yes. I can.
Am I audible?
Yes, Santosh sir, you're audible.
Yes. So, ma'am, my question is like, is it necessary that every class when we go, we need to just discuss about the bullet points or the main point that was done in the previous class?
Okay. So I like the question. I'm happy that you asked this question. Santosh sir, it depends what you're teaching and where you have left them. A quick recap of whatever you've taught in the last class always helps. So if today I've taught you how to open the class and tomorrow I come to teach you how to sustain the class of 1 hour with 7 techniques, I will definitely take a quick recap and I'll say, yesterday I taught you 5 techniques for opening the class and it was OPENS and it stands and OPENS stands for this. मुझे ये करने में 1-2 मिनट से ज़्यादा नहीं लगेगा. So somebody who's missed, I carry that student along with me for this class that is also going to be powerful. And I don't want the present students who are here to miss anything on whatever I'm teaching. So a quick recap is always okay. And it does not take much time, I think. And I think it helps the students.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you for asking that question. Yes.
Because what I feel is majority of the students, like it may happen with the UG classes, not for the PG, that they did not ask a question in the class because they feel that if we ask some questions, then my friends will feel that isko itna bhi nahi samjha hai. So I think that is the one of the things that students, they fear to ask a question. And in the school days, they did not ask a question because that was happening to us also. If you ask some kind of a question, then if a teacher doesn't know the answer, the teacher may feel bad. So I think if we can remove these two things, that even if the teacher is...
You have started a topic which is so close to my heart, मैं इसे बता नहीं सकती. मैं एक full separate session लेती हूँ, how to end the class and how to take up question and answers. But आपने आज पूछा है, तो मैं कुछ बताना चाहूंगी, उसमें से 2 टेक्निक बताना चाहूंगी. Whenever a student asks a question, always appreciate. Like I'm doing now, I'm saying, आप जैसा भी question मुझे पूछ रहे हैं, I'm saying, oh, that's a lovely question. Oh, that's a wonderful question. आप question पूछने के लिए promote कर रहे हैं students को. So always appreciate the question, even if वो पूरा bogus question है. You always appreciate the question. That's technique number 1. तो सारे बच्चे वो बुद्धू से बुद्धू question पूछने में भी शर्माएंगे नहीं. So that's technique number 1. And second, so that's for the students. आपने students को comfortable feel करा दिया. Second is for the faculty. Now this is something very powerful coming. Listen to this. When a student asks a question, listen to understand आपने कैसा पढ़ाया है. What is the level of your teaching? आपको उसके question से पता चलेगा. Also, listen, not to just respond, but to answer in a way that leaves the student rethinking. ये उनकी थिंकिंग प्रोसेस को और बढ़िया से खोले, उसके लिए आप उनको सुनिए, उनके क्वेश्चंस को, एंड देन रिस्पॉन्ड करिए. एंड इट्स अ वेरी पावरफुल टेक्निक. एक क्लास के बाद आधा घंटा पढ़ाकर छोड़ दीजिए कि आज सिर्फ मुझे क्वेश्चन पूछो, आज तुम नहीं पूछोगे तो मैं तुम्हें पूछूंगा. So I love this question and answer round.
This reminds me of one question that I got in the US when I was teaching in the class. That was my last day of class. And I said, okay, students, you are free to ask me any questions you like today. So one of the students got up and said, Professor Devi, they used to call me Professor Devi, can I ask two very stupid questions? So look at the way he was asking that question. And it was real fun just to answer that question. Can I ask two very stupid questions about India? They were asking questions about India because on the last day I said, okay, I'm an Indian, you ask anything and I'll answer. He asked me two questions. First, do you have lorries in India? Lorries, trucks. Do you have lorries in India? Question number one. Second, do you have grass in India? Sony madam was just describing the stupid wala questions. Oh yes, he admitted he was stupid, that he did not know that in one part of the country, world, that whether these people travel by, transport by lorries or trucks, or they were imagining, because that is the picture of India that has been given to them, that we still transport things by elephants. Just सोचिए, okay, हम लोग आज तक elephant से ही, their concept of India is about snake charmers, elephants, kings. So, and he stood up and asked that question. Some of the questions, unfortunately, our atmosphere, the Indian atmosphere does not allow children right from when they were very small to ask uncomfortable questions. Every time a child asks a question, they say, chup, बड़े जैसे बात करते हो, चुप करो. तो ये चुप कराते कराते they get into that chup mode because they feel they will be ridiculed if they ask stupid questions. And this boy in America had the guts to stand up and ask me the stupid question. And I said yes to both your questions. Yes, of course, we carry things by lorries. And yes, of course, we have grass in India. But the funniest part, you know what? Later on, I heard that this boy was a drug addict. So he was asking not about the grass, the green grass. He was asking me about the drug grass, of which I had no clue. And I comfortably said, oh, yes, India has plenty of grasslands. So I think he understood that I had misunderstood the question entirely. Because in those days, my mind would not even go to that. So, yes.
Okay, any more questions? Any more questions? Any more questions? Please ask all kinds of questions. Jo man mein aa raha hai, aaj पूछिए.
I think time for coffee.
Okay, so
Ma'am, actually, we are running way ahead of time. So if we could
we will
wrap the session.
We'll wind up.
Let's wind up.
We'll wind up. I'm going to leave you with two techniques for winding up your classrooms. There are actually three, but एक छोड़ देंगे next time के लिए. Two. First one's coming here. End your sessions with EWE and with energy. High energy पे आप छोड़ के आइए अपना class. Thank you everybody. Thank you my students. Even if I don't enjoy taking the class, I say I love taking the class. आज का class बहुत अच्छा था. You are all brilliant students. End with energy, with EWE. And the second technique is EWI. You end with instruction. So today I've taught you this. Tomorrow I want you to read these first 3 pages. And tomorrow I'm going to ask you these 2 questions. You end with instruction, EWI. Or क्या आप सुनना चाहते हैं, the third one? So you have to write yes in the chat box and I'll tell you the third one.
Yes. Santosh Mani says yes.
Yes. Okay, some more yes, and we know that you're all listening and you want to hear. Okay. Thank you, my dear, lovely faculty members. Okay. So the first one is EWE, end with energy. The second one is EWI, end with instruction. And the third one is EWS, you end with summaries. So today I taught you XYZ. You can use this in PWQ method. And I also told you 1, 2, 3 this. And for tomorrow, we'll do this and this. Leave them कि कल मैं ये करने वाला हूँ. वो रात को भी सोए तुमको याद आए कि कल सर ये बताने वाले हैं. Spark, create that curiosity कि कल मेरे क्लास में ये होने वाला है. That's all, my dear faculty members. It was so lovely. आज मैं ये सच में दिल से बोल रही हूँ. It was so lovely taking the session. We would love to connect with each of you once again. And I hope all of you come to Bhubaneswar, all those of you are not here. And if time permits, come to RCM. We will treat you with good coffee, tea, and some samosas, aloo chop, sandwiches बहुत अच्छी बनती हैं यहाँ पर. So we'll treat you with that, and we can chit chat and have a good discussion on anything if you would like to ask us. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And now I extend my heartfelt gratitude to both our esteemed resource persons for today's session, for the enriching and thought-provoking sessions that both of them have delivered. I felt it has provided us with a valuable insight, of course, and practical perspectives that we could take back home to reflect upon. And my sincere appreciation also goes to all the participants for their enthusiastic involvement and active engagement throughout the session. I also thank the organizing committee, the faculty members, technical team, and support staff, of course, whose dedicated efforts ensured that the session ran smoothly and seamlessly. Before I end today's session, I would like to notify all of you that the feedback form will be shared shortly in the WhatsApp community for this FDP, and we request all the participants to complete it as it is quite mandatory. And we now look forward to welcoming all of you tomorrow for another exciting day, for another exciting session, where we will explore the transformative role of AI in teaching and resource development. Until then, have a wonderful evening, all of you, and we look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow. Thank you so much.
So before we wind up, let's be on video. Let's snapshot, with the first day, and we'll share these there in the group as well.
Absolutely.
So please be on video. So 30 seconds to be on a video. 30 seconds to fame.
Together.
Okay. And a smile on the face is most important. I think we had a wonderful session today. Yeah. So let me take this. So I'll have to take 2-3 screenshots. So you'll have to wait for me for more 4-5 seconds, I think. Just give me a moment. Yeah. Done. Thank you.